Hi everyone, in today's tutorial I'll be teaching you how to cut and sew an Asooke bridal dress using clear and simple steps. Whether you're a beginner or a professional tailor, you will find these steps so easy to follow, and in this tutorial I'll also be giving you tips and tricks you must have at the back of your mind whenever you have to cut and sew Asooke fabric so that they come out best, perfect and neat. Let's jump right into it. Because I wanted this video to be so explanatory and I didn't want to rush any part of this tutorial, I made it in 3 parts and this is the second part. There's a part 1 to this tutorial. If you've not seen that part 1, you should check it out so that you understand better where we are coming from. The link to that part 1 is currently showing up, but in case you miss it up, the link will also be down in the description box. In that part 1, I spoke extensively about the measurement required to cut and sew Asooke fabric like this. I spoke extensively about the tips and tricks, a lot of tips and tricks, like 6 or 7 of them, that you need to put into consideration whenever you have to sew Asooke fabric so that your dress or your outfit comes out the best. That part 1 also contains how to cut the lower part of this Asooke dress, which is the pencil part. It contains how to cut the scallop design that you are seeing on the slit of this dress. And in this part 2, I'm going to be talking about how to cut the corset part and how to turn this scallop design. It's a very detailed video. My name is Oluwatosin. In case it's the first time you are seeing my channel, and you're welcome. To all my returning subscribers, you're also welcome. In case it's your first time here, please consider subscribing, and don't just subscribe. Turn on the notification bell so that you'll be notified next time I upload a new tutorial on this channel, because on this channel I upload cutting and sewing tutorials on daily basis. You just have to watch that part 1 because it is a very impactful tutorial as much as this one is. All of this being said, let's jump right into the tutorial. Continuing from where I stopped in the previous tutorial, which is the part 1, which was the cutting of the lower part, this is the corset part of this dress. For this corset part, I started by cutting the lining first. Don't forget I said in the part 1 of this tutorial that when I said lining, I'm talking about doll face. In that part 1, I also gave you ideas of lining that you can use to, kinds of lining that you can use to line Asooke to make it come out perfect. In my case, I'm using doll face. If you need to know the rest lining you should use to line Asooke, please watch that part 1. So I used doll face to line mine, and I cut my doll face first before using it to cut my Asooke. And for the doll face, I'm going to be cutting 2 for each panels because I'll be lining this front panel twice. The first lining will be just stitched on my Asooke. The second lining is what I'll use to turn it. So I cut two lining for each panel of this corset. If you want me to drop a tutorial on how I was able to draft and cut this corset, please let me know down in the comment section. I'll make a detailed tutorial on that. The reason I didn't make another tutorial is because I have a detailed tutorial already on how to cut these 2-part corsets on my channel. I'll be putting the link to that tutorial up, but if you miss it up, you can always check down the description box. And for the cup part of this corset, the cup itself, there is chantilly lace on top of the cup. If you've seen from the video that I played at the initial stage of this tutorial, there's chantilly lace on the cup. It's not just Asooke. So I proceeded to cutting chantilly lace again. That makes it 4 layers of fabric for the cup itself, the chantilly lace, Asooke, and 2 linings for the cup itself. But for the body of the corset part of the dress, I cut Asooke and 2 linings. I hope my explanation is clear. After this, the next thing I did was to cut out the scallop design on the slit of this dress. So for the scallop design on the slit of this dress, I just used this thread pack to mark out my pattern. You can use whatever you have that is circle and is wide enough for you to use. So I used this thread pack to mark out my pattern on every area of the slit. And this pattern that I'm marking it out on the Asooke and one of the lining of the back. I said it in the part 1 of this tutorial that this back panel will be lined twice. So for the second lining, I did not add it to this scallop pattern that I'm drafting. I'll not be cutting the scallop on it. And for this lining that I'm cutting the scallop on it together with the Asooke is the same length with the Asooke. If you can see, they are the same length. There's Asooke underneath. What I'm marking my pattern on right now is the lining, which is the doll face. There is still Asooke underneath for both sides. Is the second lining, which is the one that is shorter than the first lining, and the Asooke that I'll be using to turn it. And at this point, I'll not be marking out, I'll not be cutting out the scallop design on that lining. I'll finish turning it first before cutting out the scallop design. And it's not just turning, there are tips and tricks that I will still apply on this first lining together with the Asooke before proceeding to turning with the second lining. For this design, you can mark out any pattern of your choice. I just decided to choose this scallop design. There is no pattern or design that you can use on this slit part of your dress. I'm just trying to make it come out unique and different, but at the same time, there is no pattern or design that you cannot choose to use. And the first thing you should do is, you can see that I marked a straight line first. I measured 2.5 inches inward. I used a lot of allowance when I was cutting this Asooke. I said all of this in the part one of this tutorial. The slit allowance alone is 2.5, because Asooke pulls and Asooke phrase depending on how you've cut it and how you've ironed it. I said all of these tips in the part one of this tutorial. That is one of the reasons you have to watch the part one. Even if you know how to cut Asooke before, you have to watch this part one so that you understand better. So just mark a straight line first. You can see that there's a straight line where my fingers are. Mark a straight line first before you start marking out whatever pattern that you have chosen to mark out. Because I don't want this video to get too lengthy, I'm going to be stopping the part 2 of this tutorial here. In that part 3, we'll start the joining of the corset and this joining and sewing of this lower parts of the dress, how to turn the scallop neatly, everything you need to do before proceeding to turning the scallop. Like I said earlier, it's not just turning the scallop. There are still things you need to, like techniques you need to apply on the fabric before you start turning the scallop. I hope this video has been useful to someone out there, or you found it interesting. If that's your case, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up. And if at this point you are still with me and you've not subscribed, please subscribe. And do not just subscribe, turn on the notification bell so that you will be notified the next time I upload a new tutorial on this channel. As much as possible, please let me share my tutorial amidst your friends and loved ones. If you are interested in watching the part 1 of this tutorial, just click on this box that is showing on the right side of your screen. And if you are interested in watching the part 2 of this tutorial, just click on this box that is showing on the left side of your screen. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in my next tutorial. Bye.